G'day everyone, my name's Craig Ingles and welcome to Craig's Aviation YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about something really exciting for some, and others will probably just turn it off. Safety management systems for Part 133, which is the helicopter operators, and Part 135, which is the fixed-wing general aviation operators in Australia. As most people in the industry are aware, the regulations significantly changed a few years ago when CASA introduced the new CASA regulations. Part 119 now governs the requirements in relation to the management and certification of AOCs. It replaced the old 82 series regulations. And the new 119 requirements now require that all AOC holders have a SMS and also a safety manager. However, CASA have put out a industry exemption allowing Part 133 and 135 operators currently not to operate under an SMS. And in that exemption, there's no timelines. Previously, there were timelines, and these timelines have changed, but now the exemptions, it's got nothing in it. But what I'm going to do is run through that exemption with you and also the pertinent regulations in 119 and just explain what it all means and what you've got to do. Before I get started though, I'd just like to say that just a disclaimer, some of the information I'm going to give you today may not be 100% entirely accurate. A couple of reasons behind that. One is my knowledge bank on the subject is while it's reasonably good, I may not know everything. And the second thing is that these regulations and also the exemptions are continuously changing. And I don't get up-to-date information from CASA when they do change all these things, and I'm sure most of you don't either. So, and these requirements will change. Obviously, the exemption will as well. It's got an expiry date on it. We'll talk about that as well. Okay, so what I'm telling you today may not be 100% correct in about 2 or 3 years' time, although most of it probably still will be. Part 138 that relates to aerial work operations, I'm not going to talk about that today, but the 138 requirements aren't captured under Part 119. A Part 138 certificate is a certificate and it's not an AOC. And some Part 138 certificate holders aren't required to have an SMS, whereas some others are. It depends on the nature and the type of operation. I will talk about that in a separate video. Righty, everyone, got the exemption here, the first page of it. If you look at section 2 there, it says it was commenced on the 2nd of December 2024 last year, and it's going to be repealed on the 1st of December 2027, so it is current. Okay, we're looking at Part 2 now, Safety Management Systems, Australian Air Transport Operators, excluding certain Part 142 activities, exemptions. Okay, so Part 142 activities is for integrated flight training. So the application of Part 2, this part applies to an Australian air transport operator who immediately before 2 December 2021 held an AOC or was an early applicant for an AOC or an AOC variation, who was authorised to do charter and aerial work operations, and they weren't authorised to do RPT or integrated Part 142 flight training activities, nor were they required to have a SMS. Okay, the exemption digs down now and it hooks up with the pertinent regulations. So the first regulation there is Part 119035. So if you're operating under this exemption, you don't need to have a safety manager, and that regulation points directly at that requirement. 119 or 130, CEO, responsibilities and accountabilities. Don't need to manage the safety management system, nor are they required to ensure that the safety manager is independent of the operation. I'll talk about that separately later on. 119155, safety manager experience and 119160, the safety manager responsibilities are both exempt as well. 119190, the safety management system requirements. Okay, that lists all the what you've got to do to run and manage a safety management system, which is also exempt. 119205 talks about the content in the exposition, or we used to call it the operations manual. And here we're talking about key personnel, the qualifications and their roles and responsibilities, the appointments and their descriptions and so on. So this captures only the safety manager, no one else, okay, who's a key personnel within the organisational structure. Conditions of the exemptions specific to safety. Paragraph 1 is not applicable because it refers to scheduled air transport operations, okay, formerly known as in Australia as RPT operations. However, Section 2 does, which specifically refers to Part 133 and 135 operators. It's a condition of the exemptions in Section 6. Now that Section 6 talks about the Part 119 regulations that I just spoke about. That the relevant operator must ensure that operational safety critical personnel actively seek to identify any safety risks arising from the operator's operation, and the personnel bring identified safety risks to the attention of the operator's key personnel as soon as practical. And the key personnel review and identify the safety risks, and if ongoing aviation safety requires the risk to be addressed, implement corrective safety controls as soon as practicable through changes to the operator's exposition, and the operator's key personnel oversee the recording and retention for the relevant period identified in the operator's exposition of the identified safety risks. The corrective safety controls implemented to address these risks and procedures are set out in the operator's exposition designed to achieve outcomes mentioned in paragraph A and B. Okay, a lot of words there, but basically what it means is the organisation, or the AOC holder I should say, must have measures in place where the staff report risks or hazards, and then management address them through either risk assessment or changing their procedures to make the situation safer. And they also need to document it in their exposition or operations manual, and also after a period of time review the treatments that are put in place to ensure that they were or are effective. Okay. Directions to take preparatory steps. A relevant operator who has taken the benefit of any exemption under Section 6. Now, Section 6 refers to those 119 regulations I just spoke about. Must no later than the end of a date specified in writing by CASA give CASA the proposed SMS content along with any supporting documents that are specified in writing by CASA. And note, through its website and in communications in relevant operations, CASA will give industry 3 months with regards to this implementation deadline to submit their SMS exposition content. Note 2 refers to I believe it's an expired exemption. Paragraph B, subject to Section 3, that's on your next page, we'll have a look at that in a minute, not commence using its proposed SMS exposition content until the date receives CASA's written advice that it may do so. So essentially, verification or acknowledgement or approval from CASA, whatever they want to call it, that the operator can use it. And note there it talks about receiving the written advice would permit a relevant operator to use the proposed SMS exposition content immediately. In any event, it must be used as soon as the exemption expires on the specific date mentioned in Section 9. So 9 doesn't talk about a date. We'll get into that in a minute. So basically, once the exemption's expired, you've got to use your SMS. Otherwise, you're not compliant with the Part 119 requirements. Finally, the last part of the exemption, it just talks about when you submit your proposed SMS content to CASA, it needs to be accompanied with their form. And normally you do this online. And it also goes on to say that if you've got a customer or a client that requires you to use the SMS and it hasn't been approved by CASA, that you can go ahead and use it whilst waiting for CASA to accept or approve your SMS. Expiry of the exemption. The exemptions under Section 6, again referring to each of those 119 regulations, for the relevant operator at the end of the date specified in writing by CASA. So what that means is they'll probably inform AOC holders, I would assume, via email or ring them up, and obviously they'll publicise it on their website and through other media that they put out from time to time. I hope the video explained the purpose of the exemption with regards to the SMS. Just before I finish, I'd just like to talk about the safety manager just very quickly. Who can be the safety manager and the process of becoming approved by CASA. Firstly, the safety manager needs to be a standalone person to the organisation. They can be someone within the organisation, but they can't be someone who is currently part of the management team, as in the CEO, the head of flying operations, or the head of training and checking, and they can't be a key personnel with regards to the management of that AOC. What I do suggest, if anyone's got any questions, contact CASA. The regulations loosely do indicate that the position needs to be standalone. Now, what operators can do, they can nominate someone else within the organisation who isn't part of the management team to be the safety manager. It could be a line pilot, okay, or someone else within the organisation, or an admin person, okay. And as long as they do have the experience and knowledge to be able to do that job, okay. Now the position itself, in terms of reporting, they do need a direct line of reporting to the CEO, okay? And also, they are normally considered as the conduit in between the AOC holder and CASA as well. So if anything goes wrong, or wrong's probably not the right word, but anything happens with regards to safety and quality, within the organisation, it should always go through the safety manager. And that includes things like CASA audits, for example, or if there's any variations in the AOC in terms of personnel changes or fleet changes and all that kind of thing. Okay, now with regards to getting assessed to become a safety manager, CASA more than likely will do an interview, the same style of interview that they normally do for CEOs and those kind of positions. Firstly, you can't be a criminal or have a criminal background. Secondly, the candidate needs to have a fairly good understanding of the CASA regulations in relation to the SMS requirements in Part 119, and also the requirements of actually the operational regulation, as in Part 133 or 135. Okay, they will be questioned by CASA in the interview with regards to that knowledge. Additionally, they'll need to also more than likely provide a resume to CASA as part of the application process, so that CASA can have a look at that before they conduct the interview. Okay. Otherwise, I'd just like to thank everyone for watching this video. I hope I haven't confused a lot of people. I'm sure I haven't. And if you did like it, please click the like button, and also make any comments if you have any questions or suggestions. Okay, thanks a lot for watching it.